Welcome to the 6 key qualities of spiritual formation through 6 different Disney Pixar movies. Today we will be exploring what these key qualities are and how they relate to these Pixar movies. You may be wondering, why is this topic even important? This is children's media we're talking about, not spirituality. But it is equally important for children, teens, and adults to talk about their spiritual life, to gain spiritual formation practices early and often. These movies help pave a way for parents to begin conversations with their families who may not be able to access these lessons in as easy ways in real-world scenarios. As someone who works with a wide variety of ages, from preschool through high school, these movies have a way of meeting students where they are at developmentally and entertaining them and also teaching them things. These 6 key qualities of spiritual formation are authentic spirituality, differentiation of self, emotional intelligence, moral imagination, humility, and generativity. Regardless of your spiritual or religious background, anybody can find spiritual meaning in these movies, which makes it more accessible for anybody from either a religious or non-religious background to find spiritual meaning in these. So grab yourself a cup of coffee, write down a few notes, and join me on this journey through the 6 key qualities of spiritual formation through 6 different Disney Pixar movies. The first movie we will be exploring today is the movie Soul, the theme of authentic spirituality. Soul follows the journey of Joe Gardner, a middle-aged middle school band teacher in New York City who accidentally falls into an open manhole cover and finds himself on his way to the great beyond. Well, he's not ready to die yet. He's got life he wants to live, and he's got a jazz club he's got to get to. So he tears a hole and falls into what is called the great before, which is where souls are made. Let's talk about some of the settings we have in this movie. This is the great beyond. As you can see, this beaming white light, there's this beautiful moving pathway Joe Gardner finds himself on. Here we have the great before, where the souls are made. Here is soul 22. Here are the Jerrys, who act as kind of almost Holy Spirit angelic guides as they help shape and shift and create these souls before they go to Earth. There are also several instances of spiritual practices that are seen throughout this movie. Music as a spiritual practice that guides Joe's life and passions is also a practice of spirituality, where he comes into himself and finds himself in the flow state known as the zone, where many people who are either religious or in sports or in theater or music find themselves attaining when they are truly in the zone of experiencing and melding with that thing. We also see the practice of meditation and mindfulness through his friends Moonwind and the Mystics Without Borders. Mysticism itself is a ages-old spiritual practice and discipline. Understanding who we are in the world, our purposes and our passions gives us a greater sense of belovedness. Cultivating compassion and connection with others is a lifelong journey that provides us all with a sense of purpose. Joe and 22 needed each other to learn how to truly connect with life. In beloved community, there we find our true selves. We see our souls and hearts reflect back at us as we strive to work together to build God's kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. Our next movie up is Turning Red and the subject of differentiation of self. It is the newest Pixar movie about a Chinese-Canadian girl growing up in 2002 and coming into adulthood. When she turns 13, she finds that her family has a particular curse from an ancestor. The women in a family all turn into red pandas. Maylin figures out how to control the red panda and then ends up hustling the panda with her friends in order to get enough money to see a concert. When the time comes for the ceremony to be rid of the red panda once and for all, May decides to keep the red panda and runs off to the concert. She and her mom get into quite the fight. It's very epic. And when the mom also turns into a giant red panda, and May works together with her family and friends to help her mom. First off, we have to talk about the parent-child dynamics in this movie. Here we have May and her father and her mother. And in the beginning of the movie, she says how important it is to honor your father and mother. That is the single most important rule in her life. But in the journey to differentiation of self, learning how to differentiate yourself from your family is one of the biggest things you do as as an adolescent and is a journey that May has to learn to take. May demonstrates an ability to develop a self-sustained path for growth by deciding to keep the red panda instead of encapsulating it like the rest of her family. She is encouraged by her father, who reminds her that life is messy and we need to honor the messy parts of ourselves and our lives and not hide them. Through this conversation and her experiences with her friends and herself, she realizes the panda is part of her and decides to keep it as a blessing instead of see it as. May remarks towards the end of the movie, "I am finally becoming me, but I am afraid that will pull me away from you, Mom." To which her mom says, "The further you go, the prouder I will be." If that doesn't say differentiation of self, I don't know what does. Turning Red teaches adolescents and parents how to give compassion to ourselves and live within our authentic desires and wishes of being a red panda, of going to a Four-Town concert, while connecting with others in healthy, respectful, and honoring ways. The next movie up is the movie Inside Out, and the key quality is emotional intelligence. Inside Out follows a young girl, Riley, who just moved from Minnesota to California. A new home, a new neighborhood, and new school, which all make up for some very mixed up emotions in her. Inside Out follows her emotional crew at the helm of her mind: joy, sadness, disgust, fear, and anger. Joy and sadness have to learn to work together to help save Riley's happy memories and help her adjust to a new life. Joy utilizes compassion that moves one to action when she learns to appreciate sadness as part of the team and work together with sadness to help restore Riley's memory. Emotional crew work together throughout the movie to help Riley have intentionality in planning for and practicing good health, relationally with her parents and her new school, physically with a funny scene about broccoli, as well as with her favorite pastime, hockey, and of course mentally, as they are, after all, emotions that help navigate her mental health. We need to feel our feelings and not disregard any of them or negate them is very important in our inward journeys of emotional intelligence. Accepting our anger, our fear, our sadness, and disgust help us appreciate that emotion of joy that much more. When the emotions all learn to work together, they find that solidarity and action are only attainable through connection with one another. For moral imagination, I chose The Incredibles to focus on, but the amazing thing about moral imagination is that you could probably choose just about any Pixar movie, which is why I have this photo up, and find an element of moral imagination in it, because all of them teach us a little bit more about the world around us and the ability to see more than there is in the world around us. Follows the Incredible family: Bob Parr, Mr. Incredible, Elastigirl, and their children, Violet, Dash, and Jack Jack. In the beginning of the movie, superheroes are forced to go into hiding and lead normal lives because of a little bit of a mistake they made when trying to fix things. And only when a new villain comes does the Incredible family realize they must fully embrace who they are and all work together as a family to defeat the villain. When the children begin exploring their superpowers, they explore their sense of personal agency and responsibility. While they sometimes mess up, they are given the chance to have agency in ways many kids could only dream of. Mr. Incredible has to learn the importance of risk-taking for himself and also extend that ability to taking risks to his family. He didn't want his children to be endangered or lose his family, and has to be willing to let everyone work together and not just take it on all by himself and take the risks together. The Incredibles had to accept who they were, their personhood and their gifts, to see themselves for who they are, and instead of hiding it from the world. They also had to recognize each other's gifts and work together in the pursuit of justice. For the key quality of humility, Toy Story was the very first film Pixar ever made. I don't know that anybody really needs to hear a synopsis of it, but it's a movie about the toys owned by Andy. Woody's the leader of the toys and has been with Andy since he was a baby, until the day that Andy has his birthday party and gets a new toy, Buzz Lightyear. Woody becomes jealous of the attention and ends up tricking Buzz into dangerous territory and to get his old life back. When Woody rescues Buzz, they then have to help find a way to get back to Andy in time for the big move. Some of those elements of humility are admitting you were wrong. Woody had to learn he was wrong about Buzz, and Buzz had to learn he was wrong about flying. Of course, the willingness and ability to empower others. When Buzz realized he was just a toy and could not fly, he stopped believing in himself. He then needed Woody to help him believe in himself again. And Woody was able to empower him to believe. Buzz and Woody had to learn how to be grounded in who they were versus who they perceived themselves to be. Through openness, listening, and collaboration, they were able to transform their world and save each other from their pride. Our last movie we'll be discussing today is Coco, which has the key quality of generativity. Coco takes place in Mexico City and is about a little boy named Miguel. He dreams of being a musician, but his family disapproves due to a generations-old ban on music in their family. They demand he enter the family business of shoemaking and put his dreams of music away. Miguel accidentally ends up in the land of the dead on the Day of the Dead and encounters many figures from the past and is joined by a ghost named Hector. He uncovers the secrets his family has been hiding and finds strength within himself to pursue his dream. He places a high priority of the cultivation of the creative and artistic life when he defies his family wishes and still pursues music. That music that he so desperately loves helps him seek out the truth and bring healing to his family. And the ending scene where Miguel plays for his grandma is a beautiful demonstration of a commitment to creation of the beloved community. He brings the joy of music back to her before she dies and is able to give future generations in his family the chance to do what they want. Miguel is given the chance in this movie to birth himself into his own being, to forge a new path for his future and be true to himself. Because he brings this freedom of music to his family, they are able to give birth to a new world order together. Well, that was all of our 6 key qualities of spiritual formation. We had authentic spirituality as seen in Soul, differentiation of self as seen in Turning Red, emotional intelligence as seen in Inside Out, moral imagination as seen in The Incredibles, humility as seen in Toy Story, and generativity as seen in Coco. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned a little bit more about appreciating the fine art of animation.